Welcome to the podcast. It's rivalry week here. UVA football getting ready to host Virginia Tech. Chris Graham, Scott German. We're going to talk a lot of UVA football. And Scott, I think we're going to start off the field and in the executive suites, maybe. I've stirred up a hornet's nest. You helped me stir it up with a well-placed phone call yesterday. But we wrote yesterday, and then I followed up again today about tickets. How they're the word getting to us is that there may be around 10,000 empty seats for the biggest game maybe ever played in Scott Stadium. And on the flip side of that, maybe there's a reason why UVA's charging through the nose for these tickets. So, I mean, this is the story. We until we get to the game, this is going to be the story. Scott, 10,000, man, this would be embarrassing if we were to play this game for a shot at the ACC championship game which then can play you into the playoff, and we have a bunch of empty seats in the upper deck. It just would be a bad look.
Well, it's going to be challenging for ESPN to keep that out of the camera view, isn't it?
Every time a punt or a kickoff goes up in the air, they can't avoid that. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it is embarrassing, and if what we're seeing is true, that ticket prices are above $100.
104 on the UVA ticket website, uvatix.com, upper deck only. I mean, I think you know this because you had to pull a couple of strings to get a couple of lower level seats from the UVA ticket office. Upper level only, 146 is the starting price, 186 if you want reserved upper level only. So, man, that is a lot of money for one game. We were complaining, Scott, earlier this year that $50 in the upper deck was a lot of money. 146 to 186 is just ridiculous.
It is somebody is asleep at the switch.
Somebody's great. Now, I did the math on it. All right. So, I mean, math being our friend. If we're thinking, I mean, and we got the word yesterday that, we might be around 50,000 for the kickoff. That would be about 10 or 11,000 empty seats because the official capacity is 61.5. We've had 64 in there. You can squeeze people on the hill. I don't know if you can squeeze that many on the hill anymore the way they got it situated now. But anyway, 10,000 times 146. If all the tickets were just 146, that's just under 1.5 million dollars UVA's trying to get from these tickets. Great. I mean, I understand, every dollar's important. If they're empty, Scott, man, that 1.5 million dollars is going to come back to bite us because the PR value, the negative PR value of empty seats for a game of this magnitude is going to be many times 1.5 million dollars.
Yeah, and some of this is out. I will throw UVA a bone to some degree. Some of this is out of their control. I always, and we know why they do it. It's for TV, but not announcing the start time of a game, but 6 days ahead. That makes it hard for out of towners to travel to plan. That might be an excuse, but I think it's a fairly good excuse. If you knew a couple of weeks ahead of time, you could get lodging, you could plan your trip.
You'd plan your trip. I mean, I don't know, and you don't have to charge $146 for the
Yeah,
upper deck.
so while you were talking, I did a quick check and I'm looking at it right now. So UVA $146 for upper level seats.
That's what I said.
Uh,
That's for the general admission upper level. 186 for reserved upper level.
for a 7 o'clock game in November.
Uh,
I know it's a
the
rivalry game,
the
but let's
temperature
face
at
it.
kickoff, I looked it up. Scott AccuWeather says it's going to be 32 degrees at 7 o'clock. It's going to be 28 degrees at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah, you got to factor that in. But here's a comparison. I'm looking at it right here. Tickets for the ACC championship game in Charlotte, December 6th.
Uh-huh.
Upper level tickets can be bought for as little as $39.
Is that on the ACC's website?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Uh,
Yes.
that's not good. I mean, because if it was 39 bucks on StubHub or one of those, that'd be one thing. So 39 bucks. Ah, this makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Because I
39.
mean, the ACC people are saying, yeah, we know you got nobody lives in Charlotte that, or few people live there for either of the two teams. So everybody's driving down or flying down. Yeah, we want to make it so you come to the game. UVA folks are like, hey, we don't care. $146.
Yeah, and that's another this has been a great this has not been a great week for PR for the athletic for the ticket office.
I mean,
First
it's
of
been a
all,
great week for us because we've had plenty to
yeah, we've
complain
had
about.
plenty to talk about. The moving of a home game to the Brazil. What else have we had? Um,
Well, this
yes.
this nonsense we stumbled into.
And they're questioning why there are 10,000 plus empty seats, tickets remaining for tomorrow's game. Well, there you go. There's your answer. Um, you're better off, and I just submitted a story to you. Um, Virginia fans can find their way to Charlotte a lot easier than they can find their way to Charlottesville. Uh,
That's terrible. Yeah, yeah.
but the last if your suit's in the ACC right now, you really want Virginia as the other team in that bracket because they're going to bring the most fans. I just did some research. SMU averaged 30,500 for their home games this year.
For their
Pittsburgh
home games. That's not
home
from going
game.
from Dallas to Charlotte. So
Uh,
let's think about what you.
Pittsburgh was right at 30,000 for their home games.
Wow.
So UVA in the ACC championship game is going to be the best possibility for the ACC to even hope to maybe attract 50,000.
But I'm gonna go back to what you said there. It'd be easier for people to go to Charlotte than Charlottesville. So let's think about the average
Well,
fan
it'd be
somewhere with.
cheaper.
Oh, I'm gonna do the math in my head here real quick. So $39 for, let's just say you're a family of four, a group of four, whatever it may be, husband, wife, and two kids, or just four friends who want to go to the game. All right, so 39 times four is 156. 146 times four, which is, the cheap ones there, that's 560, 584. So 584 versus 130, 156. Um, that easily makes up for your hotel room right there. If you stay, you go down, you don't have to go down early because the ACC championship game is a night game. So drive down during the day on Saturday, stay in a hotel that night. That's easily your hotel room. Yeah, it is actually. So if you live in Waynesboro, Charlottesville, Kent Store, Richmond, and you drive to the UVA game Saturday night, with your wife and two kids, it's more expensive to do that than it would be to drive down to Charlotte, get four tickets in the upper deck down there and stay in a good hotel. I mean, good hotel. Probably even you could probably even get your tickets to the basketball game in the afternoon, and do a double header. So that's oh God, Scott, that's terrible.
I mean, we could just rip into this all afternoon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to write that column tomorrow.
I'm looking right now, Chris. I said I'm looking at ACC championship tickets. This is on the ACC website.
Yeah.
Upper level, the cheapest upper level, there's plenty of them. The cheapest upper level is 39. You can get lower level seats in the end zone for 110
It's cheaper than our upper levels here. Yeah,
in
yeah.
the end zone.
For
Uh,
the ACC championship game, which is the actual game that you win and you go to the playoff. So,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's yeah, plenty of lower level tickets available. Now there's some as you get closer to the field that are 200, 180, 204, but
To
there's
get in the stadium, and we've been in that stadium a couple of times at least for a bowl game and for an ACC championship game. There ain't a bad seat in that place.
no, it's a great stadium. It's got great sight lines.
Yeah.
The view of the skyline of Charlotte is right behind you. It's yeah, that's another story. If you want, brings me to something else. I go to see the Orioles play a lot.
Yep.
Um, um, and the Orioles when they host Boston or host the Yankees. I have relatives that live in Boston that often come down. Um, whether the Red Sox are having good years or bad years, when the Red Sox play in Baltimore, they bring a ton of fans, and I often felt like, well, they're just loyal fans, and they are. But the reality is, it's cheaper to go Baltimore to see the Red Sox play than it is to go to Fenway Park because
We went to Fenway last year for the
the
UVA
capacity is 30
game
some thousand. The ticket prices are outrageous. So
because
the
of the
fans
small.
don't mind driving to Baltimore to see the Red Sox. What's the cheapest way? The best way to see the Red Sox play is to go to Baltimore. Well, this could be the same mentality for
Mhm.
this, at least. It's cheaper to go to Charlotte if UVA were to make the ACC championship game than it is to go to the Tech UVA game Saturday night. And
You know,
that's just that can't happen.
and I pointed out in this column, and the column I wrote today. So I wrote one last night and wrote one today. And my column today was in response to a few people saying to me, "Hey, you're giving us hell because we're not buying tickets. We would love to go to the game." I mean, I got at least three of those emails. I quoted two of them in the article where people said, "I'd love to go to the game. It's just it's ridiculously expensive to go, and I can't afford that. I can't justify that." But I pointed out because I've said this many times. College athletics makes its money not, I mean, honestly, UVA Athletics doesn't get a lot of money from a lot of its overall budget from ticket sales. It gets it from TV. So the reason this game is a 7 o'clock kickoff Saturday night and not a noon or a 3:30 during the day when I mean, it's gonna be cold all day, but at least the sun would be out for 12 o'clock kickoff would be out for the whole time. 3:30 it'd be out for the first half. Um, but the reason this is a 7 o'clock kickoff, Carla Williams didn't make that call. The ACC and ESPN made that call because they wanted to set up a great day of TV. Miami at Pitt at noon. If Pitt wins, okay, they're 7-1. If Miami wins, Miami still alive in the ACC title game race and also has a chance to maybe sneak its way in as a second team, an at-large team. Then you put Wake at Duke at 3:30 just because Duke has a very outside shot of getting in that game, but also Wake is 8-3. So let's give that as the halftime entertainment. And then they got UVA Tech and Cal SMU as the primetime games because if those two teams each win, if UVA and SMU each win, that's the game next weekend. So this is all for TV, and it's a great day of TV. But ACC and ESPN do not care about the people going to the game. They say, hey, UVA Tech should be played from a weather standpoint at 12 o'clock. Too bad. It's much better for TV at 7 o'clock because it just fits our rubric better. So UVA, and then UVA is looking at it and saying, well, but we still want to make an extra $1.5 million selling those tickets for arm and a leg. So I mean, you're paying that money. If you right now you haven't got a ticket yet, and you commit to 146 bucks for one ticket, two tickets, four tickets, whatever it is, you're paying an obscene amount of money to be part of the background TV set. That's all you're doing. You're helping my calls when I wrote last night to say we don't want to see empty seats. So you're helping not have empty seats, and you're paying a lot of money to be an extra on a TV show. That's when you think about it that way, it's even more absurd.
Yeah. Now, I just pulled up the official online ticketing partner of Virginia, which is SeatGeek.
Okay.
And I'm looking at upper level seats right now, and the least expensive upper level seat right now is $145. Now,
Hey, you save a buck that way.
uh, can you, and I'll let you explain it. I know what it is, but you probably will do a better job of explaining. I go to a lot of Oriole games, and the Orioles use Ticketmaster. They use SeatGeek and StubHub as their online, and they go to what they call dynamic pricing.
Hmm.
And if you're savvy and you go to a game and you know the trends there where the tickets are going to be where you want to set and when to buy them, you can get a really good uh, price using SeatGeek, using StubHub. Um, and the Orioles call it dynamic pricing. And I'm sure that's a generic name. Can you explain that?
That's essentially, for forever in ticketing, not just in sports, in entertainment ticketing, anything else. If the ticket price said $10, the ticket was $10. Dynamic pricing says, all right, based on the algorithms reading supply and demand, that $10 ticket can be $20 if there's a lot of demand for that ticket, or it could be $2 if there's no demand for that ticket. And so, with online ticketing, being the obviously not just the primary, it's the only way tickets are done now. Um, you can more easily the computers, the algorithms can more easily read demand. And from Economics 101, or at UVA was Economics 201, the entry level economics class, supply and demand. There's the curve, there's the one curve and there's the other curve, and it's wherever the point is where they meet, that's what the price is going to be. And so I think that the reason we're seeing the ticket prices, even on the secondary markets, higher, it feels artificial, is because the official ticket price is 146 to get in the upper deck, or 186 for reserved. I don't even know what a reserved upper deck would be. Like, okay, great, I get to sit lower in the upper deck than I do sit higher in the upper deck, whatever. But I think because UVA has set those prices higher, that's influencing the secondary markets to be higher. If UVA were to send an email out here as we're talking right now and say, okay, we saw the error of our ways, and now those upper level seats are $50, you would immediately see those SeatGeek and StubHub and other prices go down below $50. So that's sort of an explanation from an economics perspective. And it's Wednesday. The game is Saturday night. We still have 72 plus 6 hours, 78 hours to see if UVA Athletics will come to its senses and say, yeah, we don't want those empty seats up there. We wanted to see how many suckers would pay those high prices, but we also now look at it and don't want, the prices, we don't want the seats to be empty. We'll see. I think you had heard some rumblings yesterday, Scott, perhaps that they were going to do some sort of an email ticket offer or something. This would seem to be the time.
But not
Because
not Friday, not Black Friday because it's too late. And this dynamic pricing may not, it works at Major League Baseball games because the majority of the fans that are coming to those games are especially weeknight games or close in. Uh,
Well, they're either close in or they're like you and I. We've driven up, but we've probably got a hotel or someone to stay with, and so we're there. We want to go to the games, but we don't want to pay, whatever the price is. But yeah, for this, I mean, like the one email I got from a person from Tennessee, like, hey, they've already decided. I'm not driving from Tennessee for 146 times four. So, but if they were to put an email out now on Wednesday and say, "Here, get four tickets for $199." That might change the thought process. But on Friday, what you said earlier, Scott, about planning, if you're coming from way out of the area, you're coming from Tennessee 6 hours or 8 hours away, and you don't have family that lives here, and you got to get a hotel, it's too late. Today might be too late, but today would be the cutoff because tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Nobody's gonna be looking at their phones and buying tickets. Friday, you mentioned Black Friday. It's got to be today. I don't see it happen personally, but
and thus is the reason why we're going to be stuck at around 52 to 54,000 Saturday night for the biggest game in the history of Scott Stadium.
yeah, this is bigger than the number one game in 1990 because that was the eighth game of the season of an 11 game regular season back then. And this is the 12th game of a 12 game regular season. And if you win it and you win next week, you're in the playoff and you're playing Alabama or somebody down in SEC territory in the first round of a playoff. Um, Scott, we were there for the 1990 number one game against Georgia Tech. I mean, that stadium only officially held 42, but there were 50,000 people there that night. Somehow, 8,000 people squeezed in extra above capacity. Um, and we'll be 10,000 below capacity for this one. That's just it's sad, and it's yet last night. And when we talked yesterday, Scott, we were on the line of, oh, come on, UVA fans, it's going to be cold, so what? This is what we play football for. I have to admit, and this is the mea culpa, I did not look at ticket prices. I would never have even thought that UVA would be charging $146 for the cheapest upper level ticket price. I never even thought to look at that because I mentioned earlier, we complained, Scott, back in September when they were pricing tickets in the upper deck for $50. That was too high. I never would have thought to look and see that extreme, absurd level of pricing. So I can't blame folks. I take it back. The total, all the blame here goes on UVA Athletics. There we go.
What do you think the mentality behind pricing the tickets so expensive?
I can't when I did the math and mentioned the at 146 times 10,000, and of course some of those are 186. If you just say it's 10,000 times the 146 is about $1.5 million. Is $1.5 million going to, make or break UVA Athletics financial reporting at the end of the fiscal year? I mean, I know it's going to be higher. The most recent year we have full financial reporting on file for UVA Athletics, or for any athletics program, but for UVA Athletics is the 2023-2024 year. So that's over a year old already. But it was the budget that year, the revenues were $153.5 million. $1.5 million is going to determine whether or not we have empty 10,000 empty seats. In the grand scheme of things, put butts in seats. This is all about, I mean, because I say this a million times, and I'll say it for the million and one time here, I guess. College athletics is played so that it showcases your university to the world. That game's going to be on ESPN Saturday night. It'll have a bigger number of viewers than the average UVA Virginia Tech game because it is for a spot in the ACC championship game. It'll probably have maybe a 1.5, 2.5 million viewers that night. That's 1.5 to 2.5 million people who will be watching on TV that UVA, the school, wants to see in the best possible light. They don't want to see empty seats. The prospective students who are looking at this don't want to see empty seats. They see empty seats and they're going to say, but those people don't go to their games when they're good. Maybe I'll look at another school to apply to. That kind of thinking has to be part of this. So that's why I say that $1.5 million that they might make if they sell these 10,000 tickets for 146 or above, when they don't get that money, it's going to cost them a lot more money in terms of marketing because college football is all about marketing.
Yeah, when this game time was announced Sunday, I guess Sunday evening, right?
Yes, Sunday morning.
Uh, the athletic director and the ticket manager and everybody should have had a meeting to say, okay, we've got to make an adjustment because it's a 7 o'clock game. We got our tickets priced too high.
It's going to
And
be freezing cold.
they
There's
should have made that
big blast
adjustment
coming in.
Monday morning.
Yeah. Well, I have to. This is where I concede too. I don't look at ticket prices on a regular basis. I need to start doing that, obviously. But I wonder when the ticket prices went up for this game. I don't imagine that in August or July they were 146 for this game in the upper deck to start. They probably started going up as the team started winning games and getting closer and closer to this possibility of a championship game and a playoff. But at some point, somebody there went haywire in terms of, hey, we can make a lot of money if we put it this high. They could have, though, seen, I would think, I mean, if that was the case, if, say, 3 or 4 weeks ago, hey, let's make them 146 to get into the upper deck for Virginia Tech. We're 7-1 and we're getting ready to go to the playoff. They could have seen that those tickets weren't moving then. you know, and said, okay, let's do our own dynamic pricing. Let's not wait for the algorithm to tell us. I mean, this is a comedy of errors. If it can't be described as anything else.
One last comparison. I've just checked the Baltimore Ravens host the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay,
Thanksgiving
5-game
night.
winning streak for your Ravens, right?
Yeah, Thanksgiving night.
Okay,
Um, Ravens site. Upper level seats can be, and this is important to keep in mind,
yeah,
limited number. Okay. So
yeah, yeah,
supply and demand theory could well be in play here.
yeah, yeah.
Upper level seats starting as low as $84
For an NFL game,
for an NFL game between a first place team and
division rivals
two division rivals.
on Thanksgiving night, which has its own cachet.
Yeah,
Uh,
84 bucks.
yeah, that says a lot.
And that's on the Ravens side. I expect SeatGeek, which is their official partner as well, to be a little bit lower.
Oh yeah, yeah, I would
A
expect that
little
too.
lower, maybe 75 or
Yeah.
something like that. But upper level seats right now at UVA for the 7 o'clock game Saturday night against your state rival, a game that has everything's on the line. $146, I think you said.
146 to 108. It's almost like they're trying to price Tech fans out of the market, and they're in the process they're pricing UVA fans out of the
Well,
market.
so maybe that's where we need to be directing our anger towards this. What's wrong with those Tech fans for not buying more tickets?
Because I noticed on the site, Scott, there's like fine print on the UVA site that says these tickets are non-transferable, so basically you can't buy them and then sell them to your tech, cousin or something like that. Um, whereas anything else is obviously transferable. So yeah, I mean, no, the Tech fans have what are they playing for? I mean, we've from a football standpoint, you want this game is. Tech wins this game every year. So, I noted in my other column I wrote about the game today, the line started at 11 and a half. Now it's 8.5 because the market has said, hey, Tech always wins this game. Why are we putting all the money on Virginia in this one? And so now the line's down to 8.5. But, I mean, from Tech standpoint, they're 3-8. They're from the fan standpoint. I mean, if you have to be an absolute troll to spend 146 bucks on a ticket on the outside hope that hey, we our team wins the game and keeps Virginia out of the ACC championship game because that's the only thing you'd be playing for. Whereas you can sit at home in the comfort of your own house, um, and in the warmth of your own house, and watch the same thing. I mean, there's a lot more at stake here for the UVA fan than there is. There's nothing at stake for the Tech fan. There's
Well,
nothing.
and even, I don't mean to rain on the Tech on if that's your reason for going, if you're a Tech fan, that's not even a valid reason because there are multiple scenarios that Virginia can lose to Tech and still make the ACC
Oh yeah,
championship
there.
game. So you're
That's
not going there just to see to rain on Cavaliers parade because I'm looking at the odds right now. There's multiple scenarios.
yeah.
Losing to Tech still sends UVA to the championship game.
Yeah, where that can happen. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, by the time the game kicks off, we'll know a lot. Well, I think by the time the game kicks off, all those scenarios will have played out, and we'll know exactly what the situation is. And from the standpoint, you just want to win the game. But yeah, that's not a good reason to go brave the cold, have to wear several layers, have hand warmers, um, park and walk forever. Deal with rude people. And whatever. So, but this is what it is. Hey, I got something else to complain about, Scott. Can I complain about something else now on a
Oh,
different topic?
absolutely. Yeah, this is Wednesday. This is complaint eve, So go ahead.
Kam Robinson.
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to say that.
Because and here's what I'm so the I mean obviously we know the bad news, which is he's a torn ACL. Out for the rest of this season. Who knows what about next season? Scott, I pointed this out. I don't know that anybody else pointed this out because I didn't read anybody else in their writing on the Kam Robinson story. All right, so Tony Elliott tells us yesterday, Kam Robinson out for the season, torn ACL. We know that he got injured in the Duke game. He was injured on the second play of the first series of the game. I don't. It looked like a weird thing. I watched the play 20 times. He was standing above the pile where the ball carrier had been tackled, a short gain, and then kind of got pushed at the end of the play. I mean, it wasn't a malicious push. It was just a lineman coming downfield, kind of bumped into him, and then Cam kind of went flying, and then all of a sudden comes up kind of lame and goes off the field. Oh, they said he went in the tent and he went back in the locker room. They did X-rays. We know the situation at Duke. The Duke medical facility is right there beside the field, so they could do everything they needed to do X-ray wise real quick. They decided to let him try to play in the second half. He came back out. He played one play. Duke ran a wide receiver screen, and Robinson decided he was going to blow the screen up, and he ran hard into the wedge blockers, and then he hobbled off the field and didn't play again. Scott, he either went out there with a torn ACL and then played one more play, or he went out there with some sort of injury that because he was the wedge guy on the wide receiver screen, the lesser injury became a torn ACL. Somebody or somebodies on the medical and training staff let our star defensive linebacker go back out onto the field with what became a torn ACL or already was a torn ACL and not only ruin his ability to play for this season, he might not play next season. Somebody needs to be fired for that, man.
Yeah, and you know, when that happened, as I have a tendency to do, I sent the dogs a scattering
Oh yeah. What, the second
because
play
when I
happened?
saw him come back on the field, I'm screaming, why is he coming back into the game? Because, Chris, that game was over at halftime.
It was 17-3. It ended up being 31-3 at one point. He
There
did
was
not need
no reason to bring him back out on the field.
the defense he played two snaps in the first half. Duke had nothing offensively in the first half. There was no reason for him. He did not need to save the day.
No, and when I saw him come back, I just could not I just could not believe that he was allowed to come back in that game. Um,
Tony Elliott said in the post game,
and I knew something was going to happen bad. I just had an
oh
intuition.
yeah,
Sorry, but I mean, at the
no, and so Tony Elliott said, oh, we thought it was maybe a bone bruise or something with a nerve.
then you go check him out after, you keep him out, you take him back to Charlottesville, and Sunday morning you have him go and do an MRI or whatever, but you don't put him
Yeah,
back in the game.
I tore an ACL. It's been 35 years. Um, the initial, I mean, and this is 35 years ago, the initial, whatever they do, it scans and x-rays, there's usually swelling involved. I mean, mine was a really bad one. Well, I guess his obviously was too, because he's having the surgery. But I mean, there's swelling, there's all that kind of stuff involved. And so, I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be one, but I've gone through this injury. And, the idea that okay, at best the scans and X-rays were inconclusive. That's all I can say about that. But just having gone through the experience myself, the
Well,
scans,
even inconclusive, when you're easily handling your opponent, that's enough to say you're not going back in.
and this is your best player. I mean, this isn't Donald Trump passing a cognitive test with flying colors because he knows that a clock, he can draw a clock and he knows today is Wednesday or whatever. This is medical technology, and you look at it again and say, man, I don't know. This is Kam Robinson. He's worth how many millions of dollars to us? How much are we paying him in NIL? I imagine it's seven figures. Um,
Well,
and
Christian, you're also jeopardizing this kid has an NFL future.
You can come back from an ACL, but I mean,
He can,
lots
but
of guys do. But this makes me wonder. I mean, he's because ACL, he's out for spring. He might, it depends on the severity of the injury. If it's not full reconstructive, I haven't seen. I mean, Elliot didn't say reconstructive or arthroscopic. Arthroscopic, you can come back in 6 months. Full reconstructive, it's a year.
hmm.
So that's next year too, and he's already a junior. So does he ever suit up for a Virginia team again? Because if I'm Kam Robinson and I have to have the reconstructive and I'm out all next year, I'm not coming. So that's his fourth year at UVA. I'm not coming back for a fifth year to be 23 years old and then try to go to the NFL at the age of 24. I'll rehab on UVA's dime and then go in the draft in what would that be? The 2027 draft. I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to risk coming back to UVA. Um, so I think we've probably seen the last of Cam Robinson in a Virginia uniform.
Yeah, they're very possible. And I know that at home games, um, on that sideline, we have some of the best doctors in the business on that in the orthopedics on that sideline at UVA.
I
I
imagine
don't
they
know
went
what their travel plan. I don't know if those guys travel with the team or not, but I'm
they
wondering if that would have happened in Charlottesville at
oh
Scott Stadium. There's no way he goes back in the game.
I don't see that they don't take well, I'm not going to name any names, but the guy we both think of. I don't want to name him here and throw him under a bus, even though if he was there, maybe a bus does need to be involved in this process. But I mean, there's no reason to just drive down to Duke and not take your full medical staff. And of course, they got medical staff down. It's Duke. I mean, Duke and UVA are both great academic institutions with great medical schools and medical facilities. And I mentioned again that the Duke medical facility is right there beside the field. That's where the press box is um,
I
for
just
football
think that
games.
the football program let him down
Let him down. Yeah, I mean,
because if he comes back healthy next year, he's coming back, and you bring in the right portal guys, and this defense is one of the best in the country next year, and he gets showcased, and he could turn into a first round draft pick.
he
Uh,
either he either had a slight tear of the ACL when he went back out there and it got worse, or he had something else that because it's the situation with the knee was unstable that it put his ACL at risk. I'm not an expert on a lot of things, but because I went through this process and had to go through the lengthy rehab, I know more than the average person about the stability of the knee joint. And man, yeah, he like you said, Scott, he's a first round pick. And plus, I
He
mean,
goes from being a potential first round pick to never playing down in UVA uniform again.
and I'm thinking about there was a kid down at ODU, Jason Henderson, I think his name was, two-time All-America linebacker down there. Last game of let's see, he quit at the beginning of this season, so it'd been the last game of the 2023 season, tore his ACL. Still had played enough that year to be a second time first team All-American that year. Um, then he tore it again. He came back like he worked out like a beast. I mean, if you see when I wrote about this guy earlier this year, like the pictures I found of him online, like the dictionary definition of linebacker, his pictures beside it. He just looks. He was born to be a linebacker. This guy worked out like a beast. Came back, started last season, tore his ACL again. Two-time ACL tears, two-time first team All-American. He retired after one game this season because can't do it anymore. Um, so that's what you do. I mean, we talk about Elijah Gertrude, basketball program, tore his ACL in high school, had that terrible scooter accident last year. Scott, I mean, he didn't play against Northwestern last weekend. He played 2 minutes against Butler. I mean, you can
Yeah,
only you
he's
can only endure
gradually
so
slipping out of sight here.
you grad even the best athletes can only endure so much. And man, Kam
And
Robinson,
we know about football, great football players at UVA that Anthony Poindexter
Poindexter, man.
went from a first round pick to a sympathy pick by the Ravens in the last round of the draft.
Yeah, and played on special teams a little bit for 2 years. Yeah, that Poindexter, man, that is the saddest thing I've ever seen in a football game.
Yeah,
Because as soon as he went down, you just knew he just spent a lot of money with that
yeah.
injury. Oh God.
So
So
we so far in the podcast we've I would move this to the top of our rants. We've ranted on UVA for the maybe dumb move of putting the football game in Brazil. We've ranted on them about not being cognitive to the ticket pricing. And now this. I've moved this to the top of that because we're not just affecting the program. Now we're affecting a young man's livelihood.
well, and the program. I mean, I
And
think
the program, sir.
if I'm him, okay. If it's the lighter ACL injury, like if it because mine was the lighter one, I only needed the arthroscopic surgery. It still took 6 months to rehab, and it's still, I mean, for a year afterwards, I still was hobbling. I mean, honestly, I was a at my level competitive athlete, intramural beast, right? I mean, I played a lot of pickup basketball at one grounds at UVA. We played softball, we played other sports, and for a year, I was scared every time anything happened. I mean, that knee might buckle again, et cetera, et cetera. Years later, I ran 3 marathons. So I mean, yeah, it can get better, but I mean, if he's of the 6 month nature, I don't know that I don't go to the draft too. I mean, even then, I might just go ahead and declare for the draft and not risk
Or just go work out with a trainer.
go work out with it. Yeah, I mean, and not come back even if he could come back next. I'm just thinking out loud
Course,
here.
now it's a different scenario because in the we say old days, 3 or 4 years ago, go work out with a trainer because you're not getting paid.
Now they get
Well,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
now he's okay. You could go work out with a trainer, but that's going to cost you money, and you're going to forego 7 figures at UVA possibly. So that there is that to consider. But
I was
I'm
thinking,
thinking that people watching, listening to this are going to say, "Yeah, but you guys are up there. You're just hindsight's 2020." I don't think this is us being using hindsight. This slipped. This got through, slipped between the cracks on doctors on the sideline, the defensive coach,
well,
Antonio
trainers too.
Elliott,
Let's say the training staff there is a very
training
professional
staff.
training staff too.
How do
So
you let this kid slide his way back into the game when there was no reason for him to be on the field.
There had to be, when you go through the process of thinking through this. All right, he went in the tent, then he went, in the locker room wherever the imaging was done, and then and that takes a while. I mean, there's the even though it takes a while to get scans back and that kind of thing. So the whole first half plays out. First half takes an hour and a half. Then the halftime's 20 minutes. So and he got hurt early. He got hurt on the second play of the game. So he had a lot. They had a lot of time to think through this. Trainers, doctors had to huddle together and say, "We think he can go back out there." And they had to then tell the coaching staff, "We think he can go back out there." And then the coaching staff had to make a decision. We'll let him, if he wants to go back out there, we'll let him go back out there. The last guy in this process is Cam, because Cam, like any football player, is going to say, if you don't have to shoot me, put me back in the game. I want to go play. You take his helmet away from him.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
give him that
So
decision.
we talked about, yeah, that you're right. We think he can. We think where does the part, but why does he need to come in?
Yeah, that's okay. So the
We're up.
doctor,
Hey, we're up. It's 31-3.
well, it was 17-3 when he came back in, but
Right, but
it
I
was on
mean,
its way to 31-3.
it was obvious Duke was going nowhere.
Well, and with his replacements, stopping them consistently. So the doctors and medical staff huddle and say, "We think he can go back in there." We give him the blessing to go back in there, and then they tell the coaches, and the coaches then they have a veto, obviously. Cam just can't run back out there on his own. So the coaches can order somebody to go take his helmet from him. It might take a few people to take his helmet from him, but you can get his helmet from him. So yeah, there's several layers there, but if I'm still pointing. So you can point at the coaches. I think I see what you're getting at, Scott. You can point at the coaches. The doctors, from a medical standpoint, man, we don't know what's going on in that knee.
Take his helmet.
Take his helmet. That first layer needed to say, get his. We don't know. We do not know, and it is not worth risking it. And then the coaches, because if I'm a coach, I've got a million things to worry about. I got 105 players. I got game plan adjustments to make. Your coordinators, your line coaches, Elliott. And if the doctors come up to you and say he's good, I mean, you're not. Who are you going to argue with the doctors? You know, it sounds like the information Elliott, from what he said post game, was we were told it was a bruise or something with a nerve in his knee. So if that's what they're minimizing it to be, and
He
you're
still
telling,
doesn't play.
I don't disagree with you, Scott, but if you're told it's a bruise, I mean, if everybody on a football team who had a bruise was going to be held out of a game, you wouldn't play anybody. So you're relying on your medical staff to give you information. Now, if it turns out that they said more, and then they said, no, got to stick him out there, we need him out there. And they said, well, it's risky. No, put him out there. That's a different scenario than he's good, and then all right, well, thanks, and we'll go turn our attention to game playing for the second half. But I can see your point. I mean, this would be sort of the 2020 hindsight or Monday morning quarterbacking to say, the coaches. I will say that could be 2020 hindsight yelling at the coaches. Medical professionals have to be smarter than that.
Yeah, and we're not talking about a pedestrian player. We're talking about a player that could have easily been on his way to being named the defensive player of the year in the ACC
I thought it could be the player of the year
or the
overall.
player of the year, and you're putting him back in a game that you don't need him. Like we just said, his replacements were doing that to Duke.
Well, and even from a need him standpoint, I mean, we needed Chandler Morris in the Wake game. Didn't put him back out there, and it turns out I mean, he was in concussion protocol. Concussion protocol can be he had a concussion, or we're not sure he had a concussion, so let's just keep him in protocol.
Right.
And he played the next week. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it can be chintzy on my part to question doctors. I didn't go to medical school or anything close to it, but and I'm squeamish at the sight of blood. But based on the context clues, what Elliott said after the game, and then now the guy played 3 plays, and 2 of them he limped off the field. The second one he shouldn't have had the opportunity to limp off the field. The first one, the first one's not anybody's fault. It's just stuff that happens. The second one is somebody's fault, and it's not Cam's fault.
Yeah, there's a lot of degree, there's a lot of accountability that's not being accounted for here.
So other than that,
It's not hindsight because trust me, you can ask my dogs if they could talk. I was upset with it when I saw it happening in live on TV that why was he coming back into the game? So, let's just hope it's a short recovery and he comes back and he has a good season next year.
has a good career in
Has a
the
good
NFL and
career.
makes the money
Absolutely.
he should make in the NFL. All right,
And
so
another a state player that stayed in state.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A four-star when he committed to a project. He didn't commit to a winner. He didn't
Right.
commit to a team that he thought in his junior year was going to be 9-2 and playing for a playoff berth. He committed to an awful program and stayed with that. He could have left at any point since he got to Virginia and did not. Um, so other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did the play go? Would be our question here. That's Scott's famous favorite line. Um, they actually are going to play a game Saturday night, Scott. We might want to talk about that for a minute or two.
Yeah, there's rumor to that. Despite what we've been bashing the UVA about, they're still going to play that game. They're not going to admit their wrongdoings and say we just screwed up so much this week. We're canceling that game.
I think what you're hearing here, listeners, viewers, seeing here, viewers, is usually by now we're going into this game with 3 or 4 wins, and we've been bitching and moaning for for 3 months, and we haven't had a lot to complain about. So so we're getting it all out now. Virginia 8.5 point favorite. That's down from 11.5 at the start. Whatever that means, it's not that important. Tony Elliott said yesterday in his presser that you gotta prepare for this one to be a 4-quarter, 1-score game, and it's going to be a tight game in the fourth quarter. It's going to be a cold night. Hopefully, an electric environment. Whoever shows up, hopefully they're loud. We say this every year, this time of year, Scott, going into this game. The Virginia side has lost this game for so long. A lot of the years we lost this game, we had a better team than Virginia Tech, but I think that there's a psychological aspect to this where the folks wearing the orange and blue kind of know that we lose this game every year. And they're kind of waiting for the bad thing to happen. And on the other side, the Virginia Tech kids are like, hey, we know we win this game every year. They're waiting for the good thing to happen. And so there is that aspect to this that, and certainly from the fan bases, I mean, the people in the stands and the people watching at home are going to, the Virginia fans can't they're going to be on pins. And if it's 30, I said this to you on the phone yesterday, Scott. If it's 31-0 at the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter, we're going to be thinking, yeah, but Tech can score 4 touchdowns and get 4 2-point conversions and win 32-31 because that's just the way this game has gone for the last 25 years. So, the old saying is throw the records out the door of their rivals. Not even in this case. This is a one-sided rivalry, and until Virginia starts winning this game consistently, we're going to be nervous going into this game.
Yeah, and normally I would buy into everything you just said, but here's what I'm holding out hope for. Is that we Virginia has 50 new players on that field,
That's right.
most of which are starting on
Yeah.
offense or defense. They don't have any of that history.
Right.
Um, that jersey is not going to spook any of our guys out. If there was ever a game where the game is won by just the sheer talent on the field, not intimidation, not the other team waiting for the other shoe to fall, this is the game. And clearly, the talent discrepancy it favors Virginia here. I just don't see this group of players who have no history of this rivalry, who many of which didn't even grow up in the state of Virginia.
Right.
I don't see them being spooked out because it's Virginia Tech. I
I
see
think
them
that's
looking at this game as if it's just any other opponent across the line of scrimmage. This one happens to be a lot less talented.
I was talking with Bill Lee. You might remember that name.
I do
Longtime
know
Nelson.
Billy,
Yeah,
Nelson County head coach.
Nelson County head coach for a long, long time. So I'm in a grocery store the other day. I think it was Monday.
Bill was one of the guys that as we did our apprenticeship with the News Virginia that you could call up on a Friday night to get the details of their football game, and he would give you good details.
Oh, every time I run into
Good
Bill,
guy.
great guy. I run into him in a grocery store quite a bit. Whenever I do, Crystal has to walk around with with the shopping cart because I'm gonna stand there and talk to Bill for a good 20 minutes.
Yep.
I said kind of the same thing that you just said there, Scott. That's a hope I've got is that there's 50 guys who don't have any of the ghost. They don't know about any of that crap. And there's probably a lot of guys on the tech sideline too that aren't of the the positive mindset
Well,
that
Tech
they
didn't clean house last year as thoroughly as UVA did,
true, true.
but that might be even more reason. Maybe they should have.
Maybe that's why they're 3-8 and their coach got fired and they're looking and they got a new coach in James Franklin. I mean,
Exactly.
you look at some of the other intangibles in this one. I mean, because you and I have gone back and forth on this on text and talking on the phone. I mean, on the one hand, Tech is 3-8. What do they got to play for? This is their last game. On the other hand, this is their bowl game. So, I mean, this is a chance for them to kind of throw a monkey wrench into UVA's plans. So maybe there's a kind of canceling out effect there. I kind of look at it. Another intangible is if Virginia were to get a big early lead, say there was a turnover early and Virginia converted it, got up, maybe 14 nothing, 17 nothing. You might see Tech just kind of fold the tent because again, what are they playing for? Because these Tech kids, all the guys on that roster who can come back next year have to be thinking, one, maybe I'm playing for James Franklin. Maybe I'm looking to see maybe I want to put good stuff on tape for James Franklin to see. Or you might have already decided James Franklin ain't gonna want me. Maybe he's already told me that. And there's what am I playing for? If I get hurt in this game, if Kam Robinson's situation happens to me, I miss next season. I don't get paid next season. You know, so maybe you're playing for your next coach. And so as a result, do you run hard on 3rd and 1 and drop your helmet into a guy trying to tackle you, or do you kind of dance around a little bit and make sure you don't get hurt on that play? There's a lot to this that we'll see in the press box on Saturday night. I think we'll know in the first couple of possessions for both teams who's playing hard and who's playing to finish out the season. And I don't know that we'll know maybe a lot of that until then. But I'll go with you, Scott. Though, yeah, from a on the field standpoint, one thing that worries me from X's and O standpoint, I say worries me. I wrote about this in my pregame analysis. Tech can run the ball well,
Mhm.
and now they don't throw the ball well. And so obviously the defensive strategy for John Ruzinski is going to be if we can take away the run and make them one dimensional as a passing team, this game's over early. Easier said than done, though. Even when they lose, they still get around 200 yards a game rushing. And a team that can run the ball can run clock. They can shorten the game, limit the number of possessions. It'll be kind of like a Tony Bennett effect. If a game has less possessions, it keeps the worst team closer to the better team. Um, but again, if Virginia can, Virginia Tech's pass defense this year, I think is what we exploit. They're 16th in the ACC in pass defensive efficiency. If Virginia can get that passing game going early, kind of pass to set up the run as opposed to run to set up the pass, I think that might be the way to go. And I see a scenario where Virginia can win this game pretty handily if they can come out the gate, come out of the locker room
Yeah.
with fire. Play hard at the beginning. Don't let the bye week kind of have some rust and take away their running game. Throw the ball on them a little bit early. This game can be a Virginia, a convincing Virginia win.
Yeah, you made a comment that Tech runs the ball well. Well, so does UVA.
So does UVA. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think UVA is in the top half of the ACC in rushing as well.
Oh yeah, Tech's third with like 188.2, and I think Virginia's fourth, like 187.9. We're right there with each other. Yeah, yeah.
The flip side is Tech doesn't have a passing game,
There's no passing.
and Virginia does very
And
much.
their defense is not what Bud Foster fans would remember. I mean, and Virginia's defense is. Virginia's defense is the real deal. The reason
Yeah,
this
our
team is,
defense has been flying under the radar for the last 8 games.
yeah, the reason this team is 9-2 is because of the defense.
So we can truly use the running game to set up the pass game. They're going to have to run the ball. I don't see them passing.
They only will pass if they have to. I
If they
mean,
have to.
now I'll say, and I don't. One thing that I don't like about their running guy is he kind of reminds me like Logan Thomas. I'm thinking of some of the guys in their past. Logan Thomas is the one that comes most to mind, who ended up playing tight end in the NFL for a long time. Kyron Rhodes is big. He's 6'2", 235. You know, he's not the speedy guy that's going to, when they run the read option and he keeps on the read option, he's not outrunning guys. He's running through guys. And so, and now a question mark is their running back. I think his name is Marcus Willoughby. Or
He
no,
got beat up pretty good in the Miami game.
I'm sure I'm getting his name wrong. I don't follow.
Hawkins,
Marcellus
Marcellus,
Hawkins. Marcellus
Marcellus.
Hawkins. Yeah. He's their leading rusher. He got dinged up. Philip Montgomery, the interim coach, said, he kind of talked around his availability for this week, which, he may tell you he's iffy. You know, we'll look at the availability report tomorrow at 5 o'clock and see, but I would think he might either be probable or questionable on that, just to keep the mystery going until game time. But yeah, they're gonna try. I mean, that we know going into the game, they're going to run the read option, try to shorten the game. If we stop them the first couple of times, get a couple of three and outs, or keep them on their side of the field, make them punt, you know, set the tone. And if we can get a score early, get a couple scores early, that's the game plan for Virginia.
Yeah, it's a quick start is crucial here. If the longer we let Tech stay in this game,
Yeah.
the more dangerous they become.
Oh yeah, because if they can stay in this game and it's a even game or a one score game like a 10-7 field goal game, and then they can keep running the ball, man, it's gonna be a long day for us, a long cold night for us. Um,
And the worst things they're going to get in that press box.
oh, and in the crowd and on the sidelines,
Yeah.
we talk about the guys on the sidelines, 50 plus of them don't know the history of this. If it's 10-7 in the third quarter, those guys will all of a sudden realize, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Because we're the ones with everything to lose. Tech has nothing to lose. I mean, using that standpoint, if they go out there and it's 17-0 Virginia in the first quarter, okay, pack up the tents. The cars, kind of like I did all those years in the Valley League. Last regular season game in the team not getting the playoffs, the guys show up at the field with their cars packed to go home. I mean, kind of like that with this here. Oh yeah, well, good. We're not going to get hurt. At this point, it's 17-0, and we're not going to get hurt. We're not going to go out. It might as well be 50-0. We don't care. But if it's a 10-7 game or a 14-10 game in the third or fourth quarter, there's going to be a lot of tight sphincters.
Absolutely. And that's not a scenario that UVA wants. The longer you let them hang in the game, the underdog becomes much more formidable.
Because that's when having nothing to lose really gets you.
Yeah.
They don't care. They're waiting for the ball to bounce. They're waiting for a punt to hit somebody in the head. I mean, all that crap that can happen in a game. Um,
But
so yeah,
I know we're probably winding down. I usually try to look at something to hang your hat on to feel good. I really do feel good about the fact that what I earlier said, these guys aren't going to be spooked by Virginia Tech. And this is a game where if you can't beat Tech with as much talent discrepancy as there is now between UVA and Tech, then I don't know what if you ever beat them.
that's right.
This is
And
that game.
And where I'm hanging my hat, I have from week one, I have loved this defense. I mean, there's depth on the even with Kam Robinson out. The fact that Kam Robinson's out and they still held Duke down, a very prolific Duke offense going into that game. Um, they basically got some glory yards in the second half just because we were playing softer up big in that game. The secondary is deep. They're big. The linebackers are fast. There's a lot of guys who play defensive line. We shuttle guys in and out. Nobody plays more than 30 snaps a game, so they're fresh. I mean, that defense against this running game, they're so good. And then if we kind of play tech football against them, the Frank Beamer tech football against them, let's get a turnover or two, get some short fields for the offense, convert those, and turn this game into something that the fans and the press box people who really desperately would love to go to Charlotte and maybe down to Tuscaloosa for a couple more games this year. Let's let us all breathe a little bit Saturday night.
Yeah, maybe even start making hotel reservations in the third quarter.
That,
Will
yes.
never happen.
Yeah, because I remember one year. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, we once were making Final Four reservations with a 20-point lead on Syracuse in
Yeah.
a Elite Eight game. No, no, I'm not going to allow it. At least between me, you, and Greg, we're not going to be looking at any accommodations.
Not until the scoreboard is says all zeros.
Until it's all zeros. Yes,
And
exactly.
and the right side of the scoreboard has the most points.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, that gets us ready, I think. I mean, we did a lot of kvetching for about 45 minutes of this, but we got you ready for the football game too. Scott's got another column that I'll be posting later today. By the time you see this, it may already be up. And of course, we have a lot more between now and game day. Look for my availability report tomorrow night. I don't expect to see any surprises on Virginia side. We will be looking for Tech side in terms of guys who are either probable, questionable, or out. And then Saturday, man, I don't know, Scott. Christmas is a big day for a lot of people. This feels like I'm waiting for Santa to come down the chimney here. So
Yeah, yeah. Friday night's Christmas Eve for us.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So all right, for Scott German, I'm Chris Graham signing off. Wahoo wah.